Darth Sidious bent the entire galaxy to his will, controlling entire governments from the shadows, orchestrating galactic-scale wars, and manipulating countless beings into carrying out his wishes. There was very little he didn't account for, and he had plans to deal with virtually all of his enemy, from the Jedi Order to the factions on the Separatist Council. He was, without a doubt, the most powerful man in the galaxy. But there was one being that Sidious's plan didn't account for, one being that he genuinely feared, Padmé Amidala. In this video, we'll be explaining why.
Attention, Sergeant on deck!
Darth Sidious's grand plan was practically airtight. After becoming Supreme Chancellor in 32 BBY, he and his new apprentice, Darth Tyrannus, began laying the foundations for the Clone Wars. Through the war, Sidious planned to create an empire, betting that the cowardice and greed of the galactic senators would allow him to seize power. Most senators had their price, or some other way Sidious could manipulate them. Those who didn't could be made to disappear. The senators would allow him to cannibalize the Republic and terrorize the galactic population into accepting the Empire. Anyone he considered threats to the Empire would either be lured into joining the Separatist movement or, in the case of the Jedi, made to fight alongside clone troopers programmed to execute them. At the war's end, Sidious could count on the near complete eradication of his enemies. The Separatists would be utterly crushed and thus no longer a threat to the Empire, the Jedi would be wiped out, and any potential opponents in the Senate would be arrested for treason. When he learned that the Jedi believed young Anakin Skywalker was the chosen one and destined to destroy the Sith, Sidious worked out a plan to convert him to the dark side. As Skywalker matured and his true power began to manifest, Sidious made him an increasingly integral part of his plans. But Sidious had failed to account for one important person in all of this, Padmé Amidala. When Sidious was laying his plans, she was still the Queen of Naboo, the pacifist ruler of a single planet who, initially, Sidious didn't see as a threat. It was only when Amidala became a senator in 25 BBY that Sidious took notice of her. In her first few years as a senator of the Chomel sector, Amidala made her mark on the Senate, a fierce opponent of any bill that was even remotely militarist. By the time the Clone Wars broke out, Sidious recognized that not accounting for Amidala in his plans had been a serious mistake. Padmé Amidala wasn't like most senators. She couldn't be bought, she couldn't be intimidated, and she was perfectly willing to give up her life for her people and ideals. Her political convictions were unwavering and stood strongly against Sidious's plans for the galaxy. She was a pacifist, a true believer in democracy, and an egalitarian. No matter what Sidious did to pressure her or manipulate her, she wouldn't sit back and watch him consolidate power and militarize the galaxy. Normally, Sidious would have senators like that disappeared. In fact, he was perfectly happy to let his apprentice try to have her assassinated in the weeks before the Clone Wars. But before the first Battle of Geonosis, he learned that getting rid of Padmé was no longer an option. After the outbreak of the Clone Wars, Anakin Skywalker told Sidious that he loved Padmé and had secretly married her. This was a huge problem for Sidious, as it meant he couldn't kill Padmé without alienating Anakin Skywalker. His plan depended on turning Skywalker to the dark side to prevent the prophecy of the Chosen One from coming true. If he killed Padmé and Skywalker found out, Sidious would never be able to get the young Jedi on his side. Sidious couldn't touch Padmé without threatening his entire grand plan. Padmé had unknowingly outplayed Sidious. All he could do was try and counteract her influence in the Senate and hope that she got herself killed on the front lines of the Clone Wars. Padmé, of course, proved annoyingly hard to kill. No matter how many times she got herself in potentially lethal trouble, she managed to come out of it more or less unscathed. Furthermore, her political resolve only deepened as the war went on. She wasn't in any way discouraged by the fact that most of the Senate regularly sided with Sidious. To make matters worse, the strength of her convictions rallied others to her side, forming a coherent opposition to Sidious's program of imperialization. For the entire length of the Clone Wars, Padmé was a thorn in Sidious's side. Whenever he made a move toward consolidating power, she stood against it, leading her small opposition faction in a principled stand against tyranny. She was almost never able to actually stop Sidious's bills from passing, but her opposition never wavered, in spite of accusations of treason and threats of political marginalization. As the war dragged on, her steadfastness against Palpatine's agenda encouraged increasing number of senators to ally with her and oppose Palpatine. During the last days of the Clone Wars, these senators signed the Petition of the 2000 and presented it to Sidious, demanding that he revert the changes made to the Galactic Constitution and step down as Supreme Chancellor the moment the war was over. The delegation of the 2000 was an open threat to the Empire, and Sidious knew it. The moment the delegation left his office, he sent the list of signatures to the Coruscant Guard and ordered them to arrest everyone on it. Almost everyone, that is. He still couldn't touch Padmé. Fortunately for him, he didn't have to. Just a few days later, she turned up dead after an encounter with Anakin Skywalker, now Darth Vader, on Mustafar. Darth Sidious assumed that Padmé's death meant she would cease to be a thorn in his side, but he couldn't have been more wrong. Her death inspired her surviving allies to keep up the fight, and her work during the Clone Wars had laid the groundwork for more comprehensive opposition to the Empire. Senators Bail Organa, Mon Mothma, and Garm Bel Iblis had been allies of Padmé, but didn't sign the Petition of the 2000, allowing them to escape Sidious's notice. In Padmé's name, they built the Alliance to restore the Republic, beginning a rebellion against the Empire. Even though she didn't live to see the formation of the Alliance, Padmé Amidala was the mother of the rebellion. The organizing work she did during the Clone Wars brought the rebellion's future leaders together and inspired them to take action. Her influence was so significant that, 20 years after her death, her former friends and allies waged open war with the Empire, hoping to end Palpatine's tyranny and build the Republic that Padmé would have wanted. And here we come to the real reason why Palpatine feared Padmé Amidala.
Isn't it remarkable that one can have all the power in the galaxy, and yet the words of a single senator can sway the thoughts of millions?
Padmé didn't just inspire her fellow senators. The entire galaxy bore witness to her stand against Palpatine, and through Padmé, millions of beings were inspired to action. One of many reasons the Empire came to power was because the people of the galaxy had lost faith in each other. They distrusted their senators, they distrusted the Jedi, and they distrusted each other over fears of separatism. The only person in the galaxy many loyalists trusted was Palpatine, and he betrayed them all, using their support to become a dictator. But in Padmé, the people of the galaxy had someone else to trust and a reason to trust each other. Padmé proved that the ideals the Republic had abandoned during the Clone Wars still had value, and that supporting them was a righteous cause. She set an example in standing up to Palpatine and in daring to believe that a better galaxy was possible. She showed that not everyone who opposed Palpatine was a separatist, and that one could support the Republic while opposing the Empire. She argued that the people of the galaxy didn't need a strong man to tell them what to do, and that they could make their own decisions, no matter what the powers that be said. Padmé Amidala genuinely believed in the people of the galaxy, and so the people of the galaxy came to believe in her. After Palpatine declared the formation of the Empire, Padmé remarked to Bail Organa that liberty was dead. But that wasn't the case. Even though the future of the galaxy looked bleak in that moment, the flame of liberty still burned, and this was all because of Padmé. Her conviction and tireless work in standing up to Palpatine had kept liberty alive even in the galaxy's darkest hour. She had already given hope to the galaxy's downtrodden, and she'd shown them what they had to do next. It may have taken 20 years, but in the end, Padmé Amidala won her fight with Palpatine. Millions of beings stood up to continue the fight she had started, and in the end, they succeeded in restoring the Republic. After Padmé's death, Darth Sidious thought himself invincible. With her gone, he had no one left to fear, or so he thought. In reality, the days of his reign were numbered. His empire was dismantled by the movement Padmé had built, and he himself was defeated by her legacy, the son she had with Anakin Skywalker. Padmé Amidala was Darth Sidious's greatest enemy, the one he was never able to defeat. But what do you think? Do you have a new respect for Padmé now? Feel free to post your thoughts in the comments section below.